Sam, you got the favourite in the $14 million race. Put the pressure on.
Yeah, no, it's luckily he's a horse. He doesn't feel the pressure, and we feel like we've got him in as good order as we can. He's had a pretty faultless preparation so far, and touchwood for a clear couple of days, and can head into the race in really good form.
Do you feel the pressure though?
Not really. Last year there was a little more pressure. We had 2 horses in the race, and they were up here for some time. This year it's been more of a hit and run mission, so we sort of stayed out of the limelight a little bit. So not too much.
And that was more by accident than design. You were planning on running in Sydney first, weren't you?
Yeah, we intended on running in the shorts, and then they got 85 mils of rain, so we kept him at home and gave him a trial, and then headed to the Gilgai. So yeah, it wasn't by design, but from the perspective of feeling the pressure, it's probably been a good thing.
In terms of the track, I mean, they're putting a fair bit of water in to keep it in the good range. It'd be pretty firm otherwise. So what's peak for Santa? Are you happy to see a good track Saturday?
Yeah, absolutely. His best performances have been on top of the ground. The BRC Sprint, and the TJ Smith were both on fairly good ground. So, it really allows him to show his turn of foot. We're very happy with a good track.
Barriers potentially a little bit sticky. I mean, if you can slot in 3-4 pairs back, it might be perfect, but you're going to need a little bit of luck in the straight.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and he's a horse that always requires luck, and he always has, so Saturday will be no different. You'll be heart in your mouth until the last furlong probably. So, but he's a horse that races best when you do keep him smothered away until that last furlong. So, we've got one of the best jockeys on board, Mark Zahra, and come Saturday we'll leave it up to him. Our job's done.
And that run in the TJ just keeps springing back to mind, doesn't it, when he absolutely dominated the majority of these runners?
Yeah, no, and that was, that's his most emphatic victory, and it was very dominant. So, look, we feel we've got him in as good a form as that day, and if the race can pan out to be run in similar circumstances with a nice strong pace and nice fair track, and Mark can sort of work his way off the inside, then hopefully we can see a similar result.
If he can produce what he did in the TJ and he's in good form, as you say, can they beat him?
Look, not if he produces that. That was probably the best performance of the year in Australia on a sprinting front. So, he's second up on the weekend, which is, he was second up into the TJ, and he ran a first up race very similar to what he did that preparation in the Newmarket. So, whilst only 2 weeks between runs, he bounced out of his first up run in fantastic order, and his gallop on Tuesday morning on the course proper was excellent, so we couldn't be happy with him.
There's 11 other cracking horses in the race. Which one or which ones are you worried about?
Yeah, look, it's any one of the 12 could win, and you'd sit back and go, you could explain why they would have won it. So it's a pretty even race. Arcadia Queen was pretty dominant in her victory. Obviously had a good trial in between, and Piarada's doing nothing wrong. So, I think all the ones up the top of the betting are probably the ones to beat. Red Zell obviously seems to always peak on this day, so you could never put a line through him either.
In terms of a life changer, I mean, $14 million in prize money, 6.1 for first. This can change a lot of lives if you have success. I know you said you're not nervous, but it can have a pretty big impact on business.
Yeah, no, it's looking to be a huge thrill for the whole stable. We haven't got a lot of horses in work. We're lucky to have quite a few quality animals in training, but for all the staff who put in all the hard work, and for the loyal owners who have been patient with this horse, who was fairly enigmatic early in his career when he had the talent and wasn't doing it on the track. So to be very fitting for him to, he's a 7-year-old now, and it'd be very fitting if he could, win, one of the richest race in Australia on turf.
And I don't think we quite caught who the slot holder was. That was pretty subtle with the saddlecloth.
Yeah, no, look, Tab have been incredibly patient with us, and they've been very good to deal with. They've obviously shown their faith in Santa, and hopefully we can repay them on Saturday with a victory.
You've got a really big crop of owners too, haven't you? I know that they were heading here, a huge contingent headed for the TJ, and a few of them headed overseas. I'm sure there'll be plenty here on the weekend.
Yeah, no, the William Street Syndicate have been supporters of ours for a very long time. The horse was bought by Justin Bain, and Michael Ramsden and Michael Clemenger manage the syndicate, and they've been fantastic to deal with. They're very good people. Everyone in the horse is just a good person, and they're loving the thrill. So look, hopefully you can get it done on Saturday.
It's been a remarkable escalation, this horse's career, hasn't it? I think it was it the Wagatown Plate or something similar earlier on in the preparation, and I'm sure that's the race that keeps getting brought up, but that just shows the ridiculous trajectory that he's taken from that point.
Yeah, he has, and people tend to forget he did win a Zeditive at his third start, so he was a very talented younger horse, and he had a few feet issues early in his career, and our farriers have done an incredible job with him to get him back to get his feet back to full health, and that's been a large part of getting the horse back to very good form. And the Wagatown Plate, I think he went off 10-1, which is hard to believe when you look back on it, but it was just the old saying of getting a win can give a horse some confidence, and since then he hasn't really looked back, and he's been a model of consistency.